the life of me, I can't explain how anyone can stand behind a pillar for 48 minutes while innocent children and teachers are being slaughtered in a building and then somehow defend himself. This was a long time coming, and I'm glad this day is finally here.
That was Ryan Petty, whose daughter was one of the students killed last year in Parkland. Petty was reacting to the arrest of Broward Sheriff's Deputy Scot Peterson, charged with child neglect and culpable negligence for not going into the high school during Nicholas Cruz's shooting spree. The case is emotionally charged, and it also could raise some serious unintended consequences for law enforcement going forward. We are joined once again by Raimundo Socorro, the Dean for the School of Justice, Public Safety, and Law Studies at Miami-Dade College, as well as a former Miami police officer, and criminal defense attorney William Barzee, managing partner from the Barzee Flores law firm. I want to come back to you for a second, Ray. Again, your training in terms of, you trained SWAT team, and one of the conversations we were having earlier was how reasonable is it for an officer to put himself in a situation where they are likely to even be killed? Because if you're hearing automatic gunfire or what sounds like AR-15 going off, and you've got a sidearm and you're going to rush into a building with no support, the chances of you surviving that situation may not be very good. But you've trained officers in a similar situation. For instance, you were talking to me before about, storming a bus, if there are hostages on a bus. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, I'd like to reiterate the fact that I'm not defending Scot Peterson. I think what he did was cowardice. However, I also understand that training takes a lot, is very important in an officer's actions and during an officer's career. I believe that the vast majority of law enforcement officers might have hesitated for a minute or two, or much less than that, and entered. But there are those that, without the training, you don't teach yourself to override the fear of going in to a situation where, on average, is about 30% chance that you will get shot or killed. I could tell you an incident that happened many years ago when we were training for bus assaults. It was after the incident where there was a bus that was taken by a subject, and it traveled through the county. Before that time, we never trained on bus assaults, so we brought some school buses and some MTA buses, and we started trying to figure out a way to safely enter the bus and save the lives of the occupants of that bus. But after a while, it became very clear that there really was no surefire, safe way. So we had a discussion, and I recall making the statement that, guys, we need to understand that most likely than not, the first SWAT officer that enters this bus is going to get shot and probably killed. But
there are many officers who would accept that responsibility.
Absolutely.
So the question becomes, for those who don't, can it be expected that all would have that same degree of certitude in terms of what they were doing? And if we're going to draw that as a standard, is that fair to police officers? Again, not defending what Scot Peterson did or failed to do, but is this something that you can criminalize?
Absolutely not, because what you're asking, what you're suggesting is that we're criminalizing basic human instinct. Human beings have an instinct of survival, all right? We're going to do what it takes to protect ourselves in a dangerous situation. In order to overcome that, you need one of two things. Either you need to be one of these people that is a hero, that's their character in life, that's a guy who says, I don't care, I'll be the first one on the bus. We can't all be that person. We are not all heroes.
And in reality, let me just interrupt you for a second. And you probably don't know if you're that person until you're in that moment. You may think you're that person. You may believe you're that person. You may hope you're that person. But when those bullets are flying, you can't know for sure until you're in that situation.
And every situation is different. You may act a certain way on a certain situation, and then something similar happens a while later, and you may freeze.
Well, and it was a point that we made earlier, and I just want to, because we only have a limited amount of time, the unintended consequence of this can be is if an officer begins to think that if I don't charge in to a scene, that I could be criminally liable, I'm required to do so, they could actually make the situation worse, rather than relying on their training, which may be to control the situation and to control the scene until SWAT or some other officers can come up and support.
Yes, it's a delicate balance that needs to be played. there. So you don't want them to be overly aggressive, but you don't want them to be mild in their attempt either.
This seems like a case that may not, that may not survive on appeal, but could survive at the court level, because I don't know, judges are going to be wanting to sort of throw this out, and maybe there is a theory of argument here that can be sustained, through the court system. We'll have to wait and see. You're skeptical, though. You think this gets shot down eventually?
Eventually, I hope it gets shot down, and it'll probably be shot down by the appellate courts, would be my guess. Unfortunately, in the state of Florida, trial court judges have a lot of pressures. They're elected by the community that they serve in, so it's going to be a very difficult case for the trial court judge here. Ultimately, I believe appellate courts who look at this in a cooler, more detached light will see that this is an invitation to a system that would not benefit anyone, that would bring many, many risks and hurt many, many people.
Gentlemen, I thank you for your time, and I feel the need to apologize for bad use of words talking about the case being shot down. It wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to be cute with that, so I apologize. Up next, an update on our ongoing investigation of Yule in America.